Okay, so we are going to talk about the derivative of b to the x, and we already know that the derivative of e to the x is simply just e to the x, which actually works quite out well, but the derivative of b to the x is actually quite a bit different. So if you take the derivative of b to the x, you will get it's an equation we were given that m of b times b to the x, and we know that the derivative of b to the x is equal to this, where m of b is equal to the limit as h is approaching 0 of b to the h minus 1 all over h. So we could use this formula to figure out the derivative of b to the x, but then also now we do know that there's another way to find it, which is the derivative of b to the x is equal to ln b times b to the x, which is definitely a lot easier than going through the process of all this. While we know how to find the derivative of b to the x, often we need to still know just some laws of exponents. This is something that we have definitely gone over for some time, but it's just definitely good to review on. We know that b to the x times b to the x is not multiplication, but it really is b to the x plus y, because when you multiply exponents you actually are adding them, and we know that b to the x over b to the y is equal to b to the x minus y, because division is now turned into subtraction, and this would be, we have b to the negative x, so you call it almost the inverse. It is 1 over b to the x, as you can see, almost like inverse functions. And if you take b to the x to the y, this is like multiplication, so you get b to the x times y. And if you were to look at b to the x over y, this is actually root y, b to the x root y. And if we were to even look at, for example, just how the functions are, you could see that a normal function of b to the x, where b is greater than 1, will be positive, and you'll typically have an asymptote on the y equals 0, so you'll have just curvature up like this. To be an increasing function, and if you were to have a value of b where it is in between, so is less than 1 but at the same time greater than 0, often known as the fraction functions, you will have a decreasing function which will look like this, if I could draw correctly on this thing. Yeah, that is known as a decreasing function.